I think there's a lot of consensus between the three of us that TCU is going to be good next year, right? But here is the kicker. TCU's schedule is, oh my God, who out there hates us? Why is this so hard? TCU has back-to-back playoff teams from last season, obviously opening up the year with Bill Belichick's North Carolina, which obviously might be more of a circus than an actual challenge. I guess that remains to be seen. But a lot of tough games. You got to go to Kansas State. You got to go to West Virginia, to BYU, who's going to be really, really good. And then, of course, you got Baylor at home. You're playing Iowa State at home, which Iowa State's going to be a good team. You managed to avoid Tech, but I think I'd rather play Tech, to be honest with you, than some of these teams. Is this a schedule that we can get to Arlington with, I guess is my question, boys?
I think it's tough, man. I really do. I think they wallop North Carolina. I'm not too worried about that. That is a circus, but you look at the Big 12 schedule, it's a lot of tough road games. Kansas State's kind of been a house of horrors in recent years. Arizona State's on the rise. BYU is always a tough place to go play. West Virginia is a tough place to go play. These road games are freaking ridiculous, man. I feel good once you get past BYU, Houston, and Cincinnati. But the first half of the schedule is just ridiculous.
When you said back-to-back playoff teams, I'm like, who the heck was back-to-back playoff teams? And I forget SMU made the playoffs.
Yeah.
I predicted that last year, by the way. But I'm with Billy, man. The schedule is obviously so much harder than it was last year. You have to go to Arizona State. Billy mentioned him earlier. Sam Levitt's one of the best quarterbacks. There is no denying he's one of the best quarterbacks, not only in the Big 12, but I think the nation. I think he's a really good player. They don't have Scattaboo anymore, so I think that's going to hurt them a little bit. But they've got it rolling out there at Arizona State. But going on the road to K-State, Billy hit the nail on the head again. It's tough. They don't have a great time in Manhattan. It is not fun. It's a tough place to get wins. Kansas State's coming off a so-so year. I think they have a lot of good guys coming back. Avery Johnson's a really good quarterback. The rest of the road games, BYU will be tough. I think they're going to have it out for Houston. I think they want to get Houston back from that embarrassing loss last year. But West Virginia, shout out to Jaden Obercrom. It's always been tough to win at West Virginia. I mean, just same as Kansas State. But the good news is they don't have to play Texas Tech. You never know what you're going to get when you play those guys. You don't have to play an Oklahoma State and Stillwater. That's always a good thing. They don't have to go to Stillwater. But I really feel like the toughest games on the schedule, and as hard as it is for me to admit it sometimes, I think that game against SMU is going to be really tough. They got some good players coming back. I think the Baylor game's still going to be tough. Obviously, I've mentioned them already, Kansas State and Arizona State and Iowa State. Iowa State they lost two really good receivers themselves. They lost some good production on offense. They're always sneaky good on defense, but I like the fact that they're playing them at home. TCU is a different team against Iowa State in Fort Worth for whatever reason, except for when Trevon Boykin was there. They were different when Trey was there. But this schedule, I still feel like, just looking at it, I still feel like they can make it to Arlington. But the ultimate thing is they got to remain healthy.
Yeah. I mean, but I think the way I keep talking myself off the cliff with the schedule is I was convinced last year that the back half of our schedule was going to be impossible, right? Playing Arizona and playing Oklahoma State and all these teams we thought going in to this last year were going to be studs. And then it ended up being a cakewalk. And we're like, oh my God, why didn't we win the Big 12? Like with the schedule that we had. So I guess anything can happen. And there's so much parity in this league, which is why it's so fun to watch. But yeah, this is I truly am like, who out there hates us at the Big 12 offices? Because
it's so tough to do predictions because, like you said, that you never know what you're going to get. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, everyone thought Utah was a top 10 team.
Yeah, Utah was
and TCU got fortunate enough to be playing a true freshman quarterback. And you look at BYU. BYU can very easily come back down to earth next year.
We'll see if Brett Slav is playing, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just it's It's fun. It's fun to look at, but I feel like if they could get out, like I'm with Billy. I've already said at the beginning of the show, I don't feel anything like I did 2 years ago when TCU was playing Colorado. I know it's a different staff. I know it's different players, but man, when they played Colorado, they had I tell everyone this analogy, like when you prepare for a team, you watch 10 feet of film. Mm-hmm. When you prepared for Colorado, it's like watching 100 yards of film because you had so many new transfers. You had so many different coaches that you didn't know a whole lot about. You had players like Shedeur Sanders, who I'll fully admit, I did not think Shedeur Sanders was very good out of high school. I thought he was overrated. The NFL. You know? Yeah, I thought he was overrated. I was kind of like, why is all this hype around Shedeur Sanders? And then he comes out and has his performance he had against TCU. But I feel like obviously playing Abilene Christian, they almost beat Texas Tech last year. I mean, who would have thought that? But that's going to be a fun game for TCU offensively, of course. But man, if they can just get, like we say it every year, if they can just get that first half of the season, and if they're looking at a 4-2 or 5-1 or possibly 6-0, then I think it's a really good possibility they could end up in Arlington. But they've got some tough challenges this year.
Well, let me end with this, and then I got to give the dog a bath, apparently. So if y'all had to make a call right now for who those two teams in Arlington are, what is your prediction?
Kansas State and Iowa State.
Farmageddon, starting the season with Farmageddon and ending the season with Farmageddon.
Doubling to Dallas, baby. Doubling to Arlington. Let's go.
Wow.
I feel sorry for those fans, by the way.
Yeah, imagine fans having to go to Ireland, and lose
for Farmageddon. That's not a game you take to Ireland.
They've already had a Farmageddon,
So much Guinness, man.
Potato famine.
Be so much Guinness.
I'm gonna go with the two teams that you feel are going to be in the Big 12 championship. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with Arizona State, and I'm going to go with the TCU Horned Frogs.
Ooh, okay. I'm going out on a similar limb. I keep saying this one. I'm seeing a TCU Baylor Big 12 championship, and the hate in that building is going to feed families. Okay. It's going to be a beautiful thing. And hopefully we can get SMU in what is apparently our last game ever, which, that's a whole nother hour-long conversation.